Hello everyone. We are doing this on Sunday evening, the day before classes. I've been having difficulty with internet and with all the storms the last couple of days, so we're going to give this a shot. My name is Michael Brunkhorst. I am your teacher instructor for this 2100 online course. So make sure and get online the first day. Go ahead and validate your enrollment. And then first thing first, just to make sure you understand Blackboard, I'd go ahead and start here. I do a little explanation of the tabs. For this course, there will not be any midterm or final. I can hear all of the students cheering in the background, but we will have quizzes and we will definitely have enough work to keep you busy. So anyway, left a little bit of an introduction for me down there. I'll let you read it. I'm not going to go into detail with it. I'll let you read it. And then the book that we will be using, and you will need to have that book. All of the quizzes and information come from that book. You can't just watch my video, and you can't just do the PowerPoint and get 100% without reading the book on that there. Then there's in the course information start here, gives you directions using the assignments section, what system goes down, tips for the online class, and then the first thing you might want to look at is the syllabus for the fall semester. If you click it, you'll go to a Google document that will show you the online syllabus. And at the end is where I definitely would go ahead and copy, go ahead and print out the bottom 2 pages, which is the assignments. So week 1, you'll see on there, we're just going to go to chapter 1, the purpose and promise of special education, along with the application for placement and background check. That's the biggest one right now, is you need to get that done. I'll be looking over the next couple days. I believe we have a lot of you already kind of in the system, so I'll be doing a little bit of checking there. But basically make sure that you've had a background check in the last 6 months to a year. If you have any questions as to whether it's going to be current enough, contact Bill Runyon's office, and they can help you with that. And along with that, you'll have a discussion board and a quiz due. All of my assignments typically are due on Sunday night of the week, so I start on Monday, and then by Sunday night your assignments are due. However, Blackboard, you must have your first initial post done by Wednesday, and then you must have posts to your peers periodically throughout the week. So don't just post on Wednesday and then post on Sunday. You're not going to get all of the points. Definitely look at the rubric, and I'll discuss that here in a few minutes. But I'm not going to go through too much more on the schedule, except I'd go ahead and write them down in your calendar so that you know when different assignments are due as far as that. Then the next one is Introduction to the Fall Class. And you'll notice, and I even put on the first slide, you don't need to worry about the slides that are skipped. I utilize this in one of my face-to-face classes, and so go ahead and go through these slides. It'll give you an idea of the class, and also when some of the major assignments are due. So I'm not going to go through that. You can definitely look at that and get that done. The next part is course information. I'm going to go ahead and there we go. The course documents will be the next section that you will see. So go ahead and look at that. You will see that participation is in green while you're looking at that online under course documents. Anything in green means that I am done with that. So you'll notice as you're looking down there, you will see week 1 is in green, but week 2 is in red, and some of the bottom ones are in black. So that is just color coded for me basically, but what you want to know is green means they're ready to go in this semester. So you'll click week 1, and you'll see I do have modules for each week, which means that you'll go to that module down below and it'll tell you what you need to do for the week, and go from there. There's a Special Ed 2100 intro. I will let you click on it, and then there's, for your information, you gain a little more information concerning special education in Missouri. So I would definitely take a look at that document, give you a little more idea, give you a little bit of a heads up on things. And then you'll see Chapter 1 module, background check completed. You need to get that taken care of, as we discussed earlier. Placement, discussion board post Wednesday, and then the Chapter 1 quiz. Then get ready for Chapter 2 next week. Underneath important papers, that's what you need to look at really quick. Those are the instructions. If you're an employee of a school district and have a current background check, then ask a building and district administrator to write a letter on school district letterhead that you have current background check on file, and submit a hard copy to the clinical services in 2170, or attach email and attachment to that email address there. You may also screenshot of your DESI profile. If you do not have a background check, you must get one immediately so your placement can be approved, and follow the process below to get that done. So if you do not work for a district and do not have one current, then you need to go to the MOCS, Missouri Automatic Criminal History site there, and go through all of those information, all those items there, and get that taken care of. And if you have questions, I would contact the Clinical Services and Certification department there, and they can help you with that. I am not sure yet. Placement on Bill Runyon, that document, hold off on that until I get word from him that that's his current link. I will let you know via email when that link is current and ready to go. So that is the important papers you'll need to look at. Then there's Chapter 1, the purpose and promise of special education. And you will see that you've already got there. The YouTube video is what I'm doing right now. And then you'll see my notes and lecture. Those are a little extra added words and items in there that I would look at. Gives you a better picture of some things I'm talking about. It may give you some hints on the quizzes and things like that. And then there's a summary and discussion questions that you can get on and kind of test yourself and see if you've understood some of the items there. So that's Chapter 1, the purpose and promise. I'll let you go through the rest of that. Then you'll see the benefits to labeling. This part here is what you'll need to watch. It will give you a better idea when you get to do this section on labeling in the discussion board. So you'll make sure and read that. And then you'll see Chapter 1 quiz. It's in green, so it's ready to go. It will be available after August 19th, which is tomorrow. So that's set up right and ready to go there. So that looks like week 1. That gives you an idea of the course documents. I won't always go all the way through like that, but I wanted to kind of go through this week and go from there. The assignments tab, it gives you all the different assignments that you will have in this section. You'll see that some of them are still in blue. So at this point, none of them are needed for you to go through at this point. So, but over the next few days, I will get those greened up and ready to go. Discussions. The first one is an FAQ. I'm hoping it works better this time. In last semester, for some reason, it wouldn't always let me know immediately when there was somebody that had posted. So I do try to get on there on Wednesdays and on Fridays to check those out. But that's where you can ask me a question. I would say that if it isn't working and I don't get on there and post fairly soon, like the next day sometime, just email me and make sure that I did get that message. For some reason, like I say, it's not letting me know initially if somebody's posted in that section. Week 1, there is your week 1 discussion board. It's basically just to get acquainted. It's the only one that's really not related to what we're talking about. I just want to get to know you, and I want your classmates to get to know you. So please tell us your name, major, and your class rank or years, junior, senior, freshman, whatever it might be, and what you hope to do when you finish school. And then tell us a little bit more about what's important to you, your family, your friends, your hobbies, etc. And then share your experiences, if any, with special education, whether it be a family member or a neighbor or maybe a classmate. Let me know and let your class know what that is. And then there is number 4, give your opinion of labeling after watching the video and reading the text. So that's what you need to do by Wednesday. You need to answer those 4. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, do a few posts in there to go ahead and post to your peer, respond to people that have written to your post, things like that. In an online class, this discussion board takes the place of classroom discussion. So it is imperative for your grade, for your discussion board, that you post by Wednesday, and then you get on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, at least 2 to 3 days in the middle there, so that you can answer your peers, and then Sunday night finish it up. So that's where all the discussions are. Now what I want to do is we're going to go back to course documents and back to week 1. There we go. My computer is a little slow. Well, hopefully you all did not have too much damage where you were from and you got moved in fine. Warrensburg got about almost 3 inches of rain on Friday, and it all seemed to happen within a couple hours. I had a couple trees down in my area, and just got done in time to give a barbecue for the Thrive program. Okay. Typically what you will see, what I'm doing is I'm on My Notes Chapter 1 PowerPoint. So if you're not there, go ahead and get to that point on Blackboard, and you will go to a link on a Google slide for Chapter 1. And so there's what you will typically see. You will typically see the chapter objectives, and then you'll see some past test questions that have gotten people confused or concerned. So I've put them in here. And so I've given you the page number that you may look at those and get an idea of what they are. And I'll try to do that at times as they go, trying to give you a helpful hint on where you might have some problems with and where the questions are. Because typically in a face-to-face class, what I would do is the students would be taking these quizzes the morning of. I'd be looking at the students' questions and then give them some assistance and some help with that in class. Well, online I really can't do that per se, because it's up to you to get it get online and get them in place. And so that's not going to work. But I thought at least on most of the tests I would give you some idea of what others have problems with and where the page numbers where you can find the answers. Not there, I won't necessarily give you the answer, but I will give you the page numbers. Who are exceptional children? Well, exceptional children differ from the norm either below or above to such an extent that they require an individualized program of special education and related services to fully benefit from education. The term disabilities is more restrictive than exceptional children, as it does not include children who are gifted and talented. So, as it said, exceptional children differ from the norm either above or below. So a lot of times when you think of special education, you're just picking out just a part of those exceptional children. Special education are those students that we're going to talk about the most in this class. But we will have one chapter on gifted and talented that we will go over. I want you to look at the first 4 key terms. You will need to understand these to better understand as we go through the class. Impairment is a loss or reduced function of a particular body part or organ, where a disability exists when an impairment limits the ability to perform certain tasks. A handicap is a problem or disadvantage encountered when interacting with the environment, and at risk are children who have a greater than usual chance of developing that disability. So think about those four. Sorry, I've been outside all day. Need a little drink before I get going here. All right. So parts of the slides, I'll have things like this where I want you to pause a little bit and think about a question. And here's one of those now. When does a when does a disability become a handicap? So what do you think? A lot of times I'll ask you that, and I'd like for you to pause my video for you to write down your comments on a piece of paper, or maybe you printed out the slides. So go ahead and pause the video for a second and write down what you think, and then you can put me back on and we'll talk about the rest of it. All right, let's see how you did. A disability limits the ability to perform certain tasks like seeing, reading, and walking, whereas a handicap refers to a problem a person with a disability encounters when interacting with the environment. For example, a child with an artificial limb may be handicapped when competing with non-disabled peers in a basketball game, but not handicapped when competing academically in the classroom. Generate with your group a list of 5 types. Well, typically in class, that's what we would do. For you all, I just want you to think about it and get a better picture of what the differences are. Well, how many exceptional children are? Well, according to this book, more than 6.4 million children and youth with disabilities ages 3 to 21 received special education between 2012 and 2013 school year. Children with disabilities that are in special education represent 13% of those school-age population. Twice as many males as females receive special education, and you'll hear that periodically throughout some of the chapters that show the same thing as we get divided into smaller sections of disabilities. There are 3 to 5 million academically gifted and talented between the 8 grades, K through 12 also. And here are some of the prevalence. We're going to talk about prevalence of specific learning disabilities, speech or language impairments, other health impaired, and autism are some of the higher groups. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the benefits of labeling and classification, getting into a little bit of the discussion board question, which again, there's that document for you to read also. One thing, benefits of label recognizes meaningful differences in learning or behavior that is the first step in responding responsibly to differences. Provides access to accommodations and services not available to persons without the label, and helps practitioners and researchers communicate with one another and classify and evaluate research findings, and it can lead to more acceptance by peers. Some more, helps to make exceptional children's special needs more visible to policymakers and the public, enables disability-specific advocacy groups to promote specific programs and spur legislative action, and then funding and resources for research and other programs are often based on specific categories or exceptionality. Now, while I've got my opinion on the benefits of labeling, I don't want to go too much into it because I want to hear and see a lot of your ideas after watching the video and reading through the rest of this chapter about labeling before I throw my 2 cents into this. So let's go on here. There are some disadvantages the book discusses. It focuses on what the students cannot do. It may stigmatize and lead to peer rejection, and it may cause teachers to have a low expectation for the student and may negatively affect self-esteem. All of those are something I want to discuss. While it is a disadvantage, I think you need to realize that in my years, and even what the book says, there are some teachers that see a student with a disability and go, oh, I need to help them. That motherly instinct or that fatherly instinct, whatever comes out, and you want to help them. Well, watch how much you help them. You need to give them and make sure that you give them higher expectations. Many of the students that I've had through the years that were students with special needs, they can do a heck of a lot more than what we give them credit for. So please make sure that you don't do that. You create those high expectations. And also the next step is, don't always focus on their negatives. I know you need to look at that when you're looking at your data and look at whether they're learning or not. But when you're talking to the student, make sure that when you're talking to the student, you're talking to the family about the student. Make sure you mention their strengths. All students need to hear how proud you are of them, about what they do in certain areas, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to hear the negative things, the things that they can't do, the things that they need help with, and all of these, and that's going to create that more negative self-esteem issue that we need to get them to realize that they are just as good as some of the others, and you'll get to see that as we go through this. And often are misused as explanatory constructs. Creates a tendency to assume all children in a category share traits, and we will discuss that as we get further on. And a disproportionate number of children from some racial or ethnic backgrounds have been assigned disability labels. So, just something to think about. Alternatives to labeling classification. The lowest achieving 20% and the highest achieving 20% be eligible for broad approaches. Classification according to the curriculum and skills area that need to be learned, and the use of words that help focus on the individual child and his primary role as a student. And then, Rose's Law changed all references to mental retardation in federal statutes and intellectual disabilities. What experiences have you had in your life with people with disabilities? Think about that. What are your experiences? Good, bad? Who are they with? Were these experiences positive or negative? Think about some of that. Why are the laws concerning governing the education of exceptional children necessary? First of all, I want you to look down here. Some of these slides I have in red and some I don't. If they're in red, there definitely are some that you need to go back in the book and read a little bit more on. The items in red tend to be on the quiz, and it tends to be items that you really do need to get a handle on, because they will come up over and over again later on in this book and later on in your special ed classes. So as we're looking through that, and I'm going to go ahead. I normally like to keep these under 30 minutes. I did a lot of discussion of the others. The rest of these slides, for the most part, you all can understand. You definitely need to look at the major principles of IDEA and the IDEA purposes. Go in depth in those. Legal challenges, look through those, related legislation. And what is special education as instruction? The who, what, the how, and the where. You definitely need to look at that. Going through here, closing the gap. And then look at, periodically what I'll do is we will go through the state of Missouri guidelines periodically through this. And I want you to basically look at this. In each of the chapters, we'll actually look at the standards and indicators with that. So I want you to kind of just peruse through this, maybe 2 or 3 that are on this page, and go through there. You'll see when you look at what I'm talking about, it's the eligibility criteria. There's autism, deaf, blind, emotional disturbance, all of those. Pick 2 or 3 and just take a look. It actually gives you what the IEP team has to have or has to show that they have found when they are working with a student to get them eligibility to be a special education student. And then I have normally at the end a homework. Review the chapter before you take the test. Make sure you get your application for placement to Mr. Runyon. It's always nice if you would go ahead and CC me whenever you do send things to Mr. Runyon. That way I can see, without having to go up to his office, I can kind of see where you are. So get that background completed, get the discussion board completed, and then complete the quiz for this chapter. While I'm talking about the quiz, another thing I want to make sure and let you know, especially with an online class, make sure, I know Wi-Fi is out there and a lot of you have laptops, and that's great when you're just watching a video like you are me right now, as you're downloading some documents, as you're looking at some of the items I have for you. But when you're taking your test, put that Ethernet cord in, because if you get a Wi-Fi connection that's not good, or if you have storms going by and you get dinged and all of a sudden you have a lapse in your Wi-Fi, guess what? That test is just finished. And that's what it's going to look like to me. So, I mean, the computer takes it as you're done, and then all of a sudden there's no way you can go in and retake that test. So, get with me if you're having trouble with Wi-Fi. Communication is the key, but that's what I would suggest on that. Along with that, if you're ever going to be gone, I know there's cases where you're sick, and I know it's an online class, you don't have to come in and see me, but shoot me an email if you're sick or you've got something going on that's causing some trouble. I can much easier help you if you email me ahead of time and communicate with me. I'm normally in my office in the Thrive program, and I know you're off campus. Give me a call if you're having trouble with an assignment. Shoot me an email. I'm normally fairly good at getting back to people within 24 hours fairly regularly. Now, if it's on the weekend, it may take a little bit longer because I do have a family, and I do try to. I've got a grandson that's about 9-10 months old now. I like to go up and see him, so I may not be at a spot I could do. But email me if you have any questions at all. I'm going to enjoy this time with you. I look forward to looking at your discussion boards that you post to learn a little bit more about you. And right now I'm going to go ahead and stop this video and go ahead and try to get it uploaded to YouTube so it's ready for you on Monday morning. So have a great week, and I will see your emails and your discussion boards later.